All right, so I have a article to share with you, and it's from GreatGameIndia.com, and it says Secret RCMP report warns Canadians may revolt once they realize how broke they are. Wow, that's going into the heavy debts that they're experiencing, and that's pursuing to, or I'm inspired to quote from the scriptures. That comes from Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 6. And it says, Him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And that's why you Canadians are broke, because you're experiencing something called heavy debts, which heavy debts come in the form of inflation and a high standard of living. So that's all debt. And pretty much you Canadians, especially the young generation, like the millennials and the Generation Zers, you're not able to afford a home like the previous generations. Like, you can't just work a job and then have a home, because housing is ridiculously overpriced over here, and that's because of the thick clay, the debt. So you're experiencing that, and this shows you, man. You can only live. You can only go so far living that opulent lifestyle for so long. Like, eventually you're gonna hit the wall. And this is showing you that this thick clay, because you living an opulent lifestyle, you living life to the so-called fullest all the time, nonstop, 24/7. Eventually you're gonna crash, and eventually you're gonna bankrupt yourself, and that's what you're seeing, especially when Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is not in the picture. And these devils, man, they don't have Yahweh Bashem Yahushai in their thoughts at all whatsoever. So by default, as a result, you're going to crash, and you're going to experience something called debt. And that shows how sinful you are, because the scriptures say that the wages of sin is death, right? So it only makes sense that when you sin, you experience debt, and when you live an opulent lifestyle without Yahweh Bashem Shai, guess what? You're going to crash and go into debt. So those two things are interchangeable with each other. Sin and debt, death and debt. It's the same thing, right? So let me get a precept, since I'm going into Habakkuk. Let's get Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. It says, Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine. That wine is going into the philosophies that go back to the ancient world, the philosophies of ancient Greece, ancient Egypt, ancient Rome, also ancient Persian Empire, right? All that witchcraft. That's that wine, because those are the gods that they serve, right? To get that power that they have. He is a proud man. He is very proud, and he's very arrogant. And even though he's experiencing all these economic hardships, he's still proud. He still thinks he's not going to go down and pay for all the wickedness that he's done. That's this devil. That's how he is. He's just a proud man. Oh, we're still in debt. We're in debt. We're all this debt, but we'll bounce back, and we're going to still be on top. When he fails to realize, if you look at all the previous kingdoms that ruled before his, they all went down for their pride and arrogance. Hey man, Rome before they went down, they experienced a lot of heavy debts. They experienced a border crisis, just like how America is right now experiencing a border crisis, right? They went through all those things, and then they went down. That's why the scripture says, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty look before a fall. And that's what you're going through, right? So this devil is proud, man. He is proud. It kind of reminds me of, what's the precept? Let me get Psalms 49 and 11, because this guy's inward thoughts is that his house shall continue forever, even though he's done all this wickedness, even though he has to pay all this money back. He has accumulated all this debt. He still thinks he's gonna move on and go infinity and beyond. This guy really thinks like that, and he's proud, man. Proud. So this is Psalms 49 and 11, and it says here, Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. And this can be applied to the wicked men that come out of Israel, but it can also be applied to the wicked, the so-called white man. And that's who we're talking about right now. And that's his inward thought, especially starting with the house of Amalek, because they control the banking, they control the money, they control the IMF, right? A lot of these international banking families, they go back to the tribe of Amalek, which Amalek is a head tribe that comes out of the nation of Edom, right? So it goes back to you rabbis, Rabbi Amschel Bauer, that goes back to you. So yeah, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. We're going to go infinity and beyond. We're never going to go down. And, to this day, man, they call the lands after their own names. Man, look at America. It's named after Amerigo Vespucci. That's another devil, another demon. And you got certain streets over here named after these certain monarchs. That's why you got the QEW, the Queen's Way. Okay. So these devils, man, they think they're never going to go down, and then they're not going to pay for all the wickedness that they have done. Now, let me go back here. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. Neither keepeth at home who enlarges his desire as hell. That's right, he doesn't keep at home. For him to live an opulent lifestyle, for him to actually accumulate all this debt, he actually had to go into these other nations and slap them around and take their resources and put sanctions on them and put all these embargoes on them and really murder them and pollute them with these demonic philosophies, right? So this guy's never in his own home. He's always in everybody else's business, everybody else's land, and taking their resources and being a complete demon. And is as deaf and cannot be satisfied. And when he does all that, he's still not satisfied. He still wants more. You know what that is? You know how this guy functions? He functions like a virus or like a bacteria. It just keeps spreading and spreading and spreading and spreading until everything is withered away. This guy is a virus. He's a cancer. He's just not satisfied. It shows Esau, the so-called white man, is very ungrateful. And he doesn't appreciate shit. And he doesn't value the simple things in life. And he also doesn't value human life. That's why you're experiencing the thick clay, heavy debts. Because you don't appreciate what you have. Right? So this is all a reflection, starting with the so-called white man who's on top, and it trickles on down to the people. And that's why you people are going through debt, heavy debts. That's why you can't afford a home, right? Man, especially you baby boomers and you Generation Xers, man. Wow, you guys are very wicked too. That's a very wicked generation too. You think this current generation is bad. It is bad. They're wicked as hell because they're trannies and all that stuff. But that generation back then, they were very wicked when things were easy. When things were easy, they were just wicked. I can understand why the millennials and Generation Z is wicked because, things are falling apart and we're at the end. But that generation, you guys are evil, man. During the 70s and 60s, man. The sexual liberation movement and drugs and stuff. You guys that were getting high off LSD, acid, sniffing coke, doing orgies and shit. You guys were wicked, man. Wicked as hell. The Lord's going to come back and he's going to destroy you too. That wicked generation too. A lot of these old people you see walking around, they ain't right either, man. Walking around with like a cane or in a wheelchair. On the little scooters, man. Those handicapped scooters. Those people are wicked as hell, man. If the Lord would open your eyes and show you what they did in their younger years, you wouldn't believe it. And that's another thing, man. You gotta praise the Lord while you're in your youth, while you're in the time of your strength. And that's something that the previous generation didn't do. And that's why the current generation coming into this modern time is so messed up, because of what the previous generation did. They're responsible for giving the new generation all this debt too. It's not just the young generation's fault. All right, so that also shows what happens when you don't serve the Lord in your youth. Everything falls to shit, or everything turns to shit. Okay. Anyway, I'm rambling. So it says, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. That's right. And that comes in the form of NATO, the UN, the United Nations. And guess who's in charge of those organizations? America. And who runs America? The so-called white man. I want everybody to come together and be nice with each other, but under one condition: I have to be in charge, and that's this devil. And how's it looking? Not too good. Nobody's really happy. How's that looking? Verse 6, here's the point. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say? Yeah, that's right. So they're all talking shit about this devil, right? All talking shit. And these other nations, man, they take a lot of pleasure when it comes to insulting him and calling him out as a tyrant. And they make expressions about how they want this great tyrant to fall, calling him things like gringa. Here you go, buddy. Come on in. Calling him the blue-eyed devil. Yeah. The destroyer of worlds. It goes back to the original Planet of the Apes. He's the harbinger of death. That's why. That's a part of that taunting proverb, man. All right, you get your way, buddy. Want to come listen to the scriptures? All right, cool. So yeah, man, it says, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? That's right. And that's what we ask. How long, Lord? How long? How long? Okay, because the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. He was set up to deceive the nation. But, we're in this flesh. We're asking how long, because it seems like forever. But in the sight of the Lord, it hasn't even been a full day yet. Going back to the Renaissance period. Job 9:24 comes to mind. Revelation 20:7 comes to mind. Kind of reminds you of Isaiah, I believe, chapter 14 and 51. The captive exile hasteneth to be loose. Right? You get that. Isaiah, I think it's Isaiah 14. No, Isaiah 51, I think. Isaiah 51 and 14. Isaiah, I think it's 51 and 14. It says here, the captive exile hasteneth that he may be loosed, and that he should not die in the pit, nor that his bread should fail. That's right. We hasten the day. We want to get the hell up out of here, man. Because we're captives, and we are exiled from our homeland. Going back to 70 AD, the fall of Jerusalem. How we were scattered among the other nations, man. So we are actually exiled, spiritually exiled from our homeland. That's why you have these gutter rats over there controlling Israel, the tribe of Amalek. And that goes back to the Balfour Declaration of 1948. So we are captive exiles, and we hasten that we may be loosed from this wicked place. And guess what? That actually is the elect that's crying in righteousness. We don't want to die out here. We don't want to die in the pit, get caught up in the system, because that's what the pit is. We don't want our bread to fail. We want that whole roll. We want the bread. We want this word. We don't want the word to be taken away from us. And we hasten the day and we ask Yahweh Shai, come back. Because everything's falling apart. And rightfully so. And that's why a lot of you people out here, you're broke. A lot of you people aren't living good, man. A lot of people that are out here, they're not living good, and they think it's normal. Like, you shouldn't be living bad like this. But it has to play out. It has to play out. Now, it says here, I'm going to read this and then go back. And it says, a secret RCMP report made available following an access to information request from Matt Malone warns that Canadians may revolt once they realize the extent of their financial difficulties. Yep. Okay, when the money stops flowing, that's when the blood will start running in the streets. And you people are going to wake up. You're going to come to an epiphany. Like, holy shit, what happened? Why am I broke? Oh my God. But we've been warning you steadily, consistently over the years, telling you that this stuff is going to happen. And now they're telling you it's just right around the corner, man. And this goes into 2nd Ezra's, the 15th chapter, going into sedition of men, right? Going into that sedition, which is anarchy, and that's going to come here. Anarchy, civil war, civil unrest, right? It's all synonymous. It's all very similar. It's going to happen. Now, let me just finish up. Habakkuk 2 and 6. Let's go back there, jumping around. Well, this is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 6. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. That's right. So that's the point. Thick clay, that's going into these heavy debts. Heavy debts. Let's get it. Thick clay. Abatia. And it says weight of pledges, heavy debts. That's right. That's why you're experiencing something called a $1 trillion deficit. Okay, so Canada's federal debt. Debtclock.ca. Now it's in the $1 trillion bracket now. The $1 trillion range. This is what you see. And for you, to get rid of this debt, each individual living in Canada, or each Canadian citizen, has to pay $30,000 in change. And this debt is growing daily within the 100 million range. And per hour, $4 million range. So that's serious, man. It's now in the trillion. Now you're in a $1 trillion deficit. Canada. So why is this so hard to believe? I believe this is true, man. This isn't fake news. It's a real report. All right, so it says here, additionally, the report states that Canada's current state of affairs will probably deteriorate further in the next 5 years. We'll see. And the Lord, He can speed up the time. That might happen this year. Because you're going to have, I believe, an eclipse coming next month on April 8th. And that's my death day. That's my birthday too. So that's on my birthday. So that's a serious sign, man. So after that, who knows what's gonna happen? All hell could break loose. So it might not even be 5 years. It might be even sooner. And you have to remember the Lord. A day to the Lord is 1,000 years. The Lord, He controls time. He can easily speed things up, easily. So it says a confidential RCMP assessment has alerted the federal government to the possibility of civil unrest in Canada if people become aware of the dire economic circumstances. According to data from the World Nuclear Association, the global uranium reserves by country have been revealed, with Australia topping the list. The whole of government 5-year trends for Canada's study states that the coming period of recession will accelerate the decline in living standards that the younger generations have already witnessed compared to earlier generations. Yeah, because you millennials, you experienced the recession back in 2008. A lot of you were young, especially myself. I believe I was in high school. I was in probably like grade 9 or grade 10. But I didn't know shit. I didn't know what was going on. My parents were taking care of me. I was playing video games and just being a teenager, right? And being stupid. Playing fucking basketball, right? But I didn't know. But we lived through that. We saw a decline in the standard of living. It wasn't like how it was in the 90s, right? Right? Because I was born during the time of NAFTA, right? And that era. But when the recession came, things started to get more expensive. So now we're going to go through that again, and it's going to be increased. It's going to be magnified. If you think it's bad now, wait till what the Lord has in store. And you people are going to be at each other's necks, man. So it says here, accelerate the decline in living standards that the younger generations have already witnessed compared to earlier generations. Yeah, and you know, the early generations, you didn't experience this stuff. Baby boomers and you generation Xers, man. You didn't experience this stuff. This generation has experienced it. Millennials and Generation Zers. All right, so it says police move into clear downtown Ottawa near Parliament Hill of protesters after weeks of demonstrations. It's back 2 years ago. For example, many Canadians under 35 are unlikely to ever be able to buy a place to live. It adds. It's true. Okay? It's true. Okay, so I'm going to just jump down. It says here the RCMP warns of a future increasingly characterized by unpredictable weather, seasonal disasters like wildfires, which we've been experiencing for the past years consistently. All these wildfires. You know, those disasters, you know, they destroy the infrastructure and it pollutes the earth, right? So that makes the country go in debt as well, right? So flooding and declining living conditions. The authors of the paper have expressed concern that Canada is undergoing pressure to relinquish its Arctic territory, yeah, because China and these other nations are buying it up. And there's a lot of gold mines up there in Canada, but that's not going to go to the nation. It's going to go to these other nations, right? So the report's authors attribute the growing disenchantment of Canadians with their government to misinformation, conspiracy theories, and paranoia, which is another central topic. One of the report's overreaching considerations states law enforcement should expect continuing social and political polarization fueled by misinformation campaigns and an increasing mistrust for all democratic institutions. All right, so I'm going to get something now. Let's go into the Apocrypha. Let's go into sedition. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 16. Actually, I'm going to start at 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. That's right. So woe means destruction. Woe to the world, especially to this world, so-called white man's world. 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 9. I always quote that. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. That word world is going into an age, a time. And we're in the time for these devils to go down. So now they're going to experience destruction. In the beginning of their world, in the beginning of their reign, going back to 1492, it was all positive for them. They experienced a lot of glory. Now we're at the end. Now they're going to experience a lot of dishonor and disgrace. So they're going to go down very violently. So it says, verse 15, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. That's right, destruction. What's that sword? The ultimate sword. ICBMs, thermonuclear destruction. And all the other plagues that follow. Like what the article is going into, civil unrest, anarchy, sedition. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. That's right, civil unrest. You're going to go against your own neighbor that you live next to. And you people are already divided. Liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican. You people are already divided. People already don't get along. But when the money starts, when the money stops flowing, that's when the blood will start flowing. When you can't feed your when you can't feed your child, when you can't feed yourself, when you can't access basic necessities, then you're going to fight each other. That's right. Verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men. That's right, sedition, going into anarchy, going against the established authority, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princesses. That's right, so you're not going to care about the king, King Charles. That monarchy's starting to die out. You have cancer, dying of cancer, all these other diseases. You're not going to listen to your MPs. You're not going to listen to your politicians. You're not going to listen to your prime ministers and presidents. Justin Trudeau, nobody's going to listen to him. They're not going to regard him. They're not going to care. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. That's right. They're going to take matters into their own hands. And that's what the RCMP is bringing out. And RCMP is the Federal Police, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So that's like the FBI. Think of it like the FBI, okay? So that's what they're predicting. And that's what they're showing you. You know, if these Canadians wake up and realize how broke they are, man, all hell is going to break loose. There's going to be a civil war. Okay? So it's going to happen. And the scriptures prophesied about this. And you have the men on the highways telling you this, bringing this information out. Been telling you this for years and years. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Yeah, because of your pride. That's why I quoted, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty look before a fall. You people are living in pride, living in your opulence, but that can only go so far. Eventually, you're going to hit the wall and you're going to crash and burn. Eventually. And that's why you're experiencing all this debt. And this is only the beginning of sorrows. Right? So let's go to Matthew. Matthew chapter 24. Matthew 24. So let's start at verse 4. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. A lot of people out here, they're deceived, pursuing to Revelation 20 and 7, because there's a lot of lies that are out here that are spread by the elites, starting with the so-called white man. A lot of lies out here. A lot of misinformation. A lot of people out here are deceived. A lot of people think that they're in a good case. All right? Because liquor stores open, you can watch basketball, you can watch the NBA, you can go to the club, you can get your condoms and fuck, right? You can do all that bullshit. Right? But don't be deceived, man. Troubles are coming your way. Verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. And this is a rumor of war, as you can see here. This is a rumor of war. Isn't civil unrest or civil war war? It's the same thing, right? Right? Secret RCMP report warns Canadians may revolt once they realize how broke they are. Revolt. You know what a revolt goes into? War. Okay? All right. So it says here, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Wow. So all these things have to come to pass. But we're still not at the end. So if you think it's hard now, wait till what the Lord has in store in the future. And what's in the future is going to test a lot of us. Whether you're in the faith or whether you're not in the faith, you're going to be tested, and you're going to see what you're really made out of. We're going to see if you're really a woman, a strong woman, and we're going to see if you're really a strong man. Because there's a lot of people now in times of peace who are actually strong. You mafia bosses, all you top ranking people on the earth, we're going to see how strong you really are when the Lord comes back and when he brings his destruction. This is going to be a destruction that mankind has never witnessed before. And you know, brute strength alone, brute physical carnal strength alone can't get you through this. You're going to need Yahweh Bashem Yahushai with you. Isaiah chapter 33 and 6. For wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and the strength of thy salvation. So we're coming into a time where, hey man, the flesh ain't going to save you. It's really the spirit that's going to save you. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai being with you, okay? So verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation. Yeah, nation shall rise against nation, and you're going to have infighting within a nation. You know, how can Satan stand if he's divided against himself? I'm briefly paraphrasing that, though. I can probably find it, or maybe I'll get it. But yeah, right. This nation is divided, and they're going to fight against each other. And kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. You know, famines goes into hunger, cannibalism. And also, I'm thinking about spiritual famine as well, the famine of the word. You not being also to hear this word, to hear the gospel anymore. Because there's going to be a time where you're not going to have the men of the Lord out in the highways and byways teaching you. But anyway, that's not, but this is really going into like real famines, you know, people dying of hunger. And pestilences, that's right, so real plagues, you know, like locusts, diseases, like the C19, even though that was artificial. And earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. That's right. And, you know, when these things happen, guess what? The men of the Lord, you're going to be tested and tried. You know, you might be thrown into the prison, jail. You might be killed. And you're going to be afflicted. Okay, and shall kill you. That's right, kill you, really murder you. And you are going to be hated. You're going to be hated for the Lord's sake. And this is all what happened to Yahushai, Salakia. This is what happened to Yahushai. Right? Wasn't he taken up? Wasn't he put into prison? Wasn't he oppressed? Wasn't he murdered? Yeah, so it's going to happen to you. So, Scripture says, the servant is not greater than his Lord. All right, so that's all I want from here. Let me see here. Let's get Ecclesiastes 12. I'll close up with this. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 1. And it says, remember the Most High in your youth. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth. That's right. So who's the Creator? That's talking about Yahweh, the Heavenly Father. Yahweh wa Yahushai. Remember, the Yahushai has the same name as the Father, pursuing to Isaiah 9 and 6. Because that's his name, the everlasting Father, right? So really, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And then also, Scripture says all things were created by him and for him. So it says, remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth. And what's your youth? The youth is in the time of your strength. Like if you're a young man, you should be in the truth, serving Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Yeah. But that's not what the young generation right now is doing. And really, it's not cool to serve. It's not cool to serve Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. It's really not cool to be righteous for the young generation. Instead, you guys want to be trannies, want to commit adultery, smoke drugs, do drugs, whatever, man, same shit. But you just want to be wicked as hell. But then when you get old and you're in your deathbed, then that's when you want to make peace with the Heavenly Father. That's when you want him to forgive you. You did all this wickedness in your youth, not giving a shit, but now when it's time for you to give up the ghost, now you wanna appease the Lord and get right with him, make amends and shit. Well, that's not how it works. Okay, so it says, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. That's right. You know, and them evil days are gonna come. And really, you're going to have to fall back on the works that you did. So if you were doing If you were doing wickedness in your youth, and then times of chaos and evil come, you think the Lord is going to defend you? Lord, no, the Lord ain't going to defend you in those days. So verse 2, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Well, that's right. And you know, the grinding the grinders cease. So that goes into recession, people losing their jobs, you not being able to work. Things are becoming more automated. AI is taking over. Chat GPT is going to take your job. These things are all coming to pass. And I've done videos on those things. All right, verse 4, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. That's right. Doors are going to be shut up, and the grinding is low. Grinding is going into work. No work. You know, if you have no work, if you can't work and provide for yourself, that's right. That means you're going to be broke. You're going to have no money. And when you have no money, that means you can't have pussy. That means you can't have entertainment. So then you know what people are going to do? They're going to get angry. And they're going to revolt. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. And that's exactly what's going on. Music is at an all-time low. And the grinding is ceasing. Because you got terrible music. The musicians nowadays don't compare to the musicians that were in the past. Going back really to 60s, all the way up until, what? I would say the 90s. After that, music's garbage. But yeah, all right, so grinding is low, no work, and the daughters of music shall be brought low. Also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fears shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets. That's right. Okay? Yeah, man. And that's how it is, man. You're going to be walking up and down in the street, too. Taking matters into your own hands. Civil unrest. Yeah, so, anyways, with that, I just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKadosh, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well and that do teach well and that have taught me this truth. To you I say shalom. Shalom to the reflect.